In 334 BC, the 20-year-old Alexander inherited a highly disciplined, battle-hardened army from his father. With his borders secure, he immediately aimed this formidable weapon east, toward the vast Achaemenid Persian Empire. This carving of the Macedonian phalanx highlights their core tactical advantage. They fought in tight, overlapping formations, bristling with 16-foot sarissa spears. This dense wall of wood and bronze was an unbreakable anvil on the battlefield, capable of pinning down forces twice their size. The target they were marching against was staggering in scale. The Persian Empire was a colossal entity, stretching from modern-day Turkey to India, possessing prodigious wealth and an inexhaustible pool of manpower. Alexander's fatal vulnerability in this matchup was on the water. Persia controlled the Mediterranean with a fleet of hundreds of elite Phoenician and Cypriot warships. Alexander, inheriting a kingdom in debt, had virtually no navy to speak of. This meant his land army was strategically trapped. If the Persian commanders avoided a pitched battle, they could use their armada to blockade his supply lines and fund rebellions back in Greece. The Persians could starve his invasion out of existence without ever drawing a sword in open combat. This strategy was engineered by Memnon of Rhodes, a Greek mercenary general commanding Persian forces. He advised a scorched earth retreat on land, while using the mighty Persian fleet to strangle Alexander's logistics and open a second front in his rear. Alexander realized he couldn't win a naval arms race, so rather than waste funds trying to match the Persian fleet, he made a counterintuitive decision. He disbanded his own struggling navy almost entirely. He decided to neutralize the naval threat using his infantry. He would march his army down the eastern Mediterranean coastline and physically capture every Persian naval base by force. He was going to conquer the sea from the land. It was a dangerous gamble, requiring him to force the enemy's ships to fight an infantry war. To reach those coastal bases, Alexander first had to break into Asia Minor. His path was blocked at the Granicus River, where the Persian satraps had lined up thousands of elite cavalry on the steep opposite bank. This diagram tracks the Macedonian maneuver. Alexander pushed a small sacrificial vanguard directly into the riverbed to serve as bait. As they took heavy casualties from missile fire, the Persian cavalry broke their high ground formation and rushed into the mud to finish them off. With the Persian flank now drawn out and disorganized in the water, Alexander struck. Leading his elite companion cavalry in a wedge formation, he galloped into the river to hit the exposed side of the Persian line. The riverbed devolved into a brutal slogging match. It was horse against horse, man against man, fighting in the slipping mud. In the chaos, Alexander's spear snapped, and he narrowly survived a sword strike that lopped part of his helmet away. The shock of the wedge charge broke the Persian lines. By winning this chaotic river crossing, Alexander had kicked down the door to Asia Minor, allowing the Macedonian army to begin their siege of the coast. Pushing down the Mediterranean, the Macedonians reached Halicarnassus. It was a formidable naval base surrounded by the sea and commanded by Memnon of Rhodes. Here, the open-field cavalry tactics of Granicus were useless. Alexander's men transitioned to a war of attrition, filling moats with earth while sappers undermined the stone walls and mobile towers rolled forward to unleash battering rams. While Alexander captured these coastal ports, he was suddenly outmaneuvered. King Darius III had marched a royal army behind the Macedonians, severing their supply lines and forcing a battle at the Panaris River near the town Issus. Despite being heavily outnumbered, Alexander read the chaotic battlefield. Seeing the Persian center bogged down against his phalanx, he recognized a gap, wheeled his cavalry inward, and launched a strike directly at Darius's chariot, forcing the great king to flee the field. Routing the great king was a monumental achievement, but as long as the Persian fleet remained active, the grand strategy was incomplete. The most crucial naval base of all still stood in his way. This historical photo shows the remains of Tyre. In antiquity, it was an island city sitting half a mile offshore. It possessed deep water harbors capable of sheltering the Persian armada, making it a nearly impossible target for a land army. If Alexander couldn't reach the island with ships, he would bring the mainland to the island. Utilizing tens of thousands of laborers, he ordered a 200-foot wide mole, a solid land bridge built from stone and timber, straight through the ocean. The Tyrians resisted with ingenuity. As the mole reached deeper water, they loaded a transport ship with pitch and sulfur and rammed it into the construction, burning months of progress. Shortly after, a storm washed even more of the structure away. Alexander adapted. He rebuilt the mole wider, reinforced it with trees as wave breaks, and constructed massive mobile artillery towers to provide covering fire. He even fitted battering rams onto captured ships to smash directly into the island's seawalls. After 7 months, the land bridge connected. Artillery hammered a breach in the southern wall, and the Macedonian infantry flooded in. Alexander had proven that not even ocean geography could stop his tactical engineering. With the fall of Tyre and the subsequent capture of Gaza, Persian naval supremacy was permanently broken. Deprived of coastal supply lines, the remaining Persian squadrons could not operate. Entire fleets began defecting to the Macedonians, or disintegrating. The strategy of defeating a navy with an army had worked. But achieving this logistical victory required an immense, terrifying capacity for brutality. At the Granicus, he denied quarter to thousands of surrendered Greek mercenaries, killing them where they stood. At Tyre, the soldiers turned the streets into an abattoir, butchering 7,000 people before Alexander ordered 2,000 survivors crucified along the beach. This violence was a calculated tool. By dealing out total devastation to those who defied him, Alexander was weaponizing fear, ensuring that other cities would capitulate rather than face his wrath. Alexander dismantled the Achaemenid Empire through a fusion of cavalry charges, engineering miracles, and a terrifying force of will. By physically reshaping the coastline and enforcing mass slaughter, he ensured that no opponent would dare challenge his advance again.